a table mounted magnifying glass will come in handy, especially one with a light on it. For the strap button, on the left shoulder I've got an 1/8 inch bit. It's small enough to open the shaft, but it's the thread, there's still small enough to get the thread through onto the wood. And got a stopper here, a bit stopper, because I don't want to go very deep. I just want to go a little, maybe an 1/8 of an inch deeper than the screw itself. I'm sure I will at some point I will put a different one on there, you know, and I don't want to have the hole be too short, so yeah, I'm gonna go about 2 to 3/16 deeper. So I used this run-of-the-mill 50-cent scraper, and I'm gonna save all these shavings because I might need to glue something and use wood. Mix the glue with the wood. Point to the nails go up. Dead blow hammer. When you're using clamps to hold down the guitar body, even the ones with the rubber or plastic ends on them will bite down too hard. I don't know if you can actually see this divot, or if you can just see a color differentiation. But this was one of those clamps with a rubber end on it. So what I should have done was taken a scrap piece of wood and it was at least this long to, you know, disperse the pressure, because I don't know if, I'm sure I will be able to get it out, but it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of sanding. Two-sided tape, and this is an old piece of coat rack. So put the two-sided tape down, and then take a piece of sandpaper, wrap it around, and do your inside curves. Without a planer and a bandsaw, you're probably going to add about 100 hours of sanding and sculpting onto this project, so you really have to be dedicated if you don't have those tools. Junk mail business cards and fake credit cards, you can use those for fretting. A set of sharp cabinet scrapers. So I keep having ridges on the body here. I have some valleys in here, over here, basically everywhere I don't want them. And I don't have a planer or a planing sander or whatever they're called, I don't know. Anyway, so what I'm going to do for now is I'm going to take my level. I have a couple levels, but I have quite a few levels, but anyway, this one here is built more rigidly, so I'm going to use that, and I'm either going to put double-sided tape on it, or I'm just going to hold down a sheet, and I'm going to go over the body here. So basically comes down to my levels. This one's longer, bigger, but it's very thin. I'm sure it could do the job, but it's pretty thin. This one, it's got thick walls and it's plenty big enough. So what I'm going to do is put sandpaper on it, wrap around it. I'm going to end up doing this. Alright, I put a little double-sided tape on the level, although I don't think it's going to help. I think this is an entire waste of time, to be honest with you, but you know, what do? I really don't have any tool options, so we're going to do it. I don't even have a vise wide enough to hold this down, so I'm hoping this is going to help out. This toolbox drawer stuff. Fairly certain this is a bad idea, but we're going to try it out. Here we go. Well, that actually worked. But took me about, I'd say 6 to 8 minutes. And it is, what was it, 120? Yeah, 120 grit. Feels a bit rough, so I'll have to use a finer grit to smoothen it out again. But I actually got a flat surface, so I'm totally amazed that that actually worked. So I need a flat surface right here for the router to finish off the neck pocket, and here for the bridge plate. Here, actually. So right now, what I have on hand, I've got 320 and I moved up to that. Well, that 320 made a big difference. And I'm going to go, I've got 400 and 600. On the back, I think I can do 600 on the back. Sandpaper grit, 120, 400, 600, and 320. I'm about to modify my bench vise, and hopefully I don't hurt the guitar doing it. Alright, so I modified my bench vise. I took off the metal clamps and put wood bars and screws. I didn't get it too tight though, because I'm fairly certain it's gonna indent the wood if I try too hard. Whenever you get a household item, you know, large enough to come in a box that's like, you know, 3 foot by 5 foot, whatever, take the sides and cut them out, and you'll be able to make your own guitar body sketches full size. A half gallon or 2 quart pitcher, whatever you want to call it.
Here's an easy way to keep track of how many coats you've used with each can of paint. So I've already used this can one time.
In order to avoid popping the bottom of the can like this, either you don't use as hot of water as you've got, or use it less than 10 minutes. Like I said, there's a bunch of dust that has accumulated on it and stuck to it before it dried. So I could sand it down, but I really don't see the point in doing that since it's so easy to remove. Let's see, and here's a hair. I just saw that. I might actually have to sand that out. Alright, so the rest of it, this is literally just a cooking apron that I use. I'm sure you've seen it on me, or will see it on me at some point. So anyway, it's coarse enough that I just rub this along the wood. The stuff comes right off. So it feels a bit gritty, but you know, it's no big deal. All of the chunks are gone now, just off that one little rub. So with this hair, yeah, the camera can't see it, but there's a hair right here. I will actually have to sand that out. Okay, so this fake neck that I made for hanging to paint, you gotta make sure and get it smooth, get all the fur off of it. Otherwise, a lot of that will fall down and stick to the guitar when you're spraying it. Alright, it doesn't matter that this is poplar, you still need to green fill. Here, you see that? I can feel it here. I should have filled that in with wood filler, but you know, it's gonna have to wait until the next time I refinish this thing years down the road, because it's too late now and it's gonna be a learning experience. This is actually a fine sanding block, but I'm not actually going to use it. I'm not going to use it as a sanding block. I'm going to use it as a block to go over under other sandpaper. So all I wanted to do was take off the dust off the finish. Alright, this is jig. This is a jig I made. All it is a 4x4 stud, or 4x4, and I routed out the basic shape of a neck. So I got a couple here, and this one's for a different guitar, so it won't fit. It kind of does, but not really. So this one, like I said, was specifically... Alright. So now I'm going to take this, it's just this soft stuff you can line your shelves with, cabinets and whatnot. So I put that in there. Not only will it protect the neck, but keeps the finish nice on the guitar neck. And then what I just said, it will protect the finish, keeps it from sliding. So I'm going to look for the radius on this neck. I'm starting with 9.5. So if I do decide to replace this plastic nut with a real bone, we've got a couple chunks of real bone here. I've got all the files that I'll need to cut the grooves for the strings. String space rule, so you can see there's a set of lines or grooves that's closer to the edge, and there's a set that's further down. So what you do is you take one and you put it at the edge, or you put it right in line with one of the string grooves. And you keep doing that at each mark until every one of these matches up. Each set, each set, either the one's closer to the edge or the one's further away from the edge. Okay, to do a fret job, I've got this little thing I used to cut or pull the frets out. It was a plier of some sort. I don't remember what it was, to be honest with you. But I took it to the grinder and shaved it right down, so I can literally just get right under the frets with it. All I did was go to the hardware store and I found a pliers that the inside actually met, and then, like I said, I just took it to the grinder. I've got this old metal ruler that's pretty thin, probably cut it in half so I can have one on each end, on each side, and just pull the frets. That way I won't chip the wood out. And then got a dead blow hammer, and I've got a fret end file, and I got this channel lock that once I get the frets to where I want them, I'll just snip them off. And then I'll use the fret end file. And then there's various sandpapers that I have. If for some reason I can't get them down to seat down, this is an old punch that I actually ground in the wrong way, so I can just tap them with the hammer, the dead blow. I've also got various tape that I'll be putting on the fretboard. I've also got this little radius gauge. Once you get a fret out, you can put it inside the fret slot, and it'll give you a very rough idea of what the neck angle is. Fret dams can be an option. These are, you can purchase them, or these are literally business cards cut in half with a piece of duct tape wrapped around one end. You may need a tweezers for the chunks that you can put back in place. Using this super glue is the one place that you might be able to use those useless little blue gloves that break apart so easy, because these are going to be
too big and clumsy for them for this to handle this glue. You're going to need ventilation in order to deal with any this super glue. It's pretty strong stuff. Toothpicks. I'm going to use the toothpicks to put the super glue in particular spots. Feeler gauges. This is a Craftsman set. Cost about 1/10 of the price for specialty kits for guitars, and you get 8 times as many sizes. When you run out of stability from hanging it over the table, because the fret wire curves so hard, you gotta go on the edge of the table. So when you run out of stability, you can either put a vise down on the other end of this 4x4, or put a rubber band around the 4x4 and the fret neck. You may actually want to put this entire 4x4 into your table vise. That way you don't have to worry about going around the other side of a table and you know, not having stability. Alright, to do the final finish for the guitar, I'm gonna need 3 white cotton t-shirts. This happens to be an 8-pack. Woohoo! So you take those t-shirts, cut them in half, and you're going to use 1/2 a side for each product. Do not mix them up. Same with these car cushions that you can get, car pads for your drill, hand drill. Once you use one of these particular products on each pad, save that pad in a bag and mark it down, mark it what it is. You can get these pads on Amazon. They come in a pack. They're like 12 bucks. These, I don't remember what they were, like 6 or 8 bucks, I don't remember. So ideally, you want to take a spray bottle, fill it, and then put 1 drop of dish soap in it, and spray the guitar body before you use this stuff on it. But I don't have any spray bottles that won't outright soak everything, so I'm just gonna have to do it the dry way. Protractor. This is a fret end file. It's flat on one side with no sanding or chewing edges, while both sides are teeth, and then the other side is rounded edge smooth, so you can rub it up against the neck like this, you know, and not harm the wood. So either way, like this. So this is the point where I literally get down to miniature files. This one's rounded on one side and flat on the other side. This one's a triangle. This is literally a fingernail file that my wife threw out. Still works fine. Got a random piece of sandpaper here. Just gonna go over it a few times.
just seeing seeing how it's working here. The 13th fret, it's either high or that's where the end of the bend is. Same here. 5th fret. Yeah, these are all high. Center punch. This is a bag of all-purpose microfiber cloth. It says great for wet and dry use, and it says non-scratch, with or without chemicals. So this is what we're going to use to buff off the guitar. Wire trimmers. This one is a normal one, it'll go down to 18 gauge. It'll do from 10 to 22 gauge. This one is better suited for guitars. It'll go from 20 gauge to 30 gauge. Tools. This is a window handle remover from the 70s. Alright, this jig is just a couple of shelves I put together with a support piece. I can restring the guitar and I can tune it and whatnot in its playing position so it'll be more accurate. By the way, this bridge uses a metric 1.5. These are the straps used for vehicles. Put a rag over the guitar body, put a strap around that, around the entire fan slash bench. That's how I was getting my router pocket done, because it was sitting on a piece of foam. Alright, okay, to avoid your guitar starting on fire, just go to some place like Harbor Freight or some crappy tool company like that and get a heat gun under $50. I used a hook to center punch a few of these holes because the resin had gotten into them, so rather than let a drill bit just wander all over, I used the point and just center punched it. I got this old desk helper thing, you put screens on it and whatnot. So I'm going to put that like this. I want the resin to flow over the sides, so I'm going to make the same amount as I did last time and hope that's actually enough this time around. So I put tape where I don't want it to go,